check. Oops, sorry, I'm going to move you for a second. Okay, looks like we're live. Let's just double check it here and see. Oh, I got to refresh if I want to see it. So yeah, it's Friday. We are not far from home. We're just about I don't know, maybe like an hour and a half from home on the Bruce Peninsula in Ontario. And it's absolutely gorgeous and amazing here. But we've had some real doozy weather. So I am pretty done with the weather this week. It has ruined a lot of plans to enjoy much of the great outdoors here, but we did manage to have a beautiful weekend. Sunday and Monday were great. And then we had rain for a few days and a big power outage. We actually even went home to our house yesterday because it was so terrible. And then today we just magically, surprise, got some nice weather. So that was really kind of great. And we just got back from a hike. And now I'm here and ready to have my cooler. I kicked my hubby and the little people out so we can hang out for a little while. So cheers to all of you. Happy Friday. Okay, so we're going to do a straight up coaching topic today, which doesn't really have anything to do with being an anti-fragile female physician per se, but it will help you be one for sure. Okay. So I have a lot of new people on this platform lately, which is super fun and I love it. But I want to make sure that everybody knows what I mean when I say anti-fragile. So the concept of anti-fragility was coined by a philosopher and author named Nassim Taleb in his book, Anti-Fragile: Things That Gain from Disorder. And it's a really cool concept because it and sorry, Facebook, I just want to tell you guys that if my eyes seem to be darting around, it's because I'm going live on Instagram and Facebook at the same time. And I don't quite have my usual setup. So I'm kind of trying to look at two different screens at once and make this work. But so far, it seems to be working okay, I think. Sorry if it looks like I'm not quite looking at you guys the way I usually do. But anyway, back to anti-fragility. So the reason I chose to name my business the Anti-Fragile Female MD is because I so resonate with this concept of anti-fragility. And it's really a concept that I have started to think of myself, an identity I've started to think of myself as. And it's very powerful for me because it really, it's about believing that you can become the best version of yourself, no matter what challenges, no matter what mistakes you make, no matter where you fail. It's essentially thriving in the face of adversity. And I think that all of us in medicine have to do this. And so when I, in my mind, gave birth to the Anti-Fragile Female MD, what I was thinking about was, what's an identity that we can all assume for ourselves that helps us to always be remembering that we can become the best version of ourselves no matter what we face in our life? And that's how this came to be. So when you want to change your concept of yourself, one of the ways to do that is through getting coaching to help you bridge the gap between where you are right now and where you want to be. And so today I just straight up want to teach you how to be coachable. And it's a skill that, to get the most out of coaching, whether it comes from a Facebook Live like this, right, which is very sort of generic, open, designed to be viewed by a lot of people, or it's a free event like the challenge that's starting on Monday, the End Your Preclinic Dread Challenge. If you're not signed up, just you go get there, okay? I'll share the link in the show notes after I'm done. Or if it's coaching that you've chosen to invest in for yourself. And this felt super important to me to do because I want to help you get the most out of the free training, which is starting on Monday. And quite frankly, every resource that I have in my Facebook group or on my YouTube channel, which Becky has so amazingly organized for all of us now. I don't know if you guys have seen the new guides on Facebook, but they're awesome. And this is especially going to help anyone who's lucky enough to nab one of the 10 spots I have coming up very soon in my mastermind that is starting in October. So here's the deal. If you see other people getting incredible results from coaching and you want that for yourself, then what you need to learn how to do is be coachable. So before I explain how, I want to be clear what this isn't. It's not just blindly accepting what a coach tells you without discernment. Okay. There's no brainwashing process here. There's no, lack of critical thinking. That is not what I mean by being coachable. Okay. But it also means you can no longer blindly accept what you have believed your whole life without discernment either. Okay. Which is what we do, right? This is what we do with our automatic thoughts when we think they are truths. Oh, Instagram crashed. Good. Now I only have one camera to look at. Okay. It happens sometimes. It's all right. They'll get the replay. Okay. So when we believe that something must be true because we thought it without questioning it, that's kind of like being brainwashed by ourselves. Okay. So oftentimes when we're in this, right, when we're thinking that something has to be true because we thought it, then we just automatically decide something's not going to work for us. It can't happen for us. It's not applicable to us without fully considering the opposite, that maybe we're just totally wrong before drawing a conclusion. And so being coachable or being willing to see how something new could be true for me or you is the reason why so many of my dreams have come to fruition in a really short time. And it's why so many of yours could come to fruition in a really short time if you really listen to this and integrate this into the way you're thinking when you're listening to these talks. It's why I was able to eliminate burnout from my practice as a family physician. Now, I'm still working on that in my practice as a coach because I'm juggling that plus parenthood plus, being a physician. But having learned how to do this once before means I can learn how to do it again. I know that. And I know I'm making headway. I know I'm making progress. It's why I'm making more money than I ever have working fewer hours, even if you just look at my medicine practice alone. It's why I lost 50 pounds before my second baby and why I'm going to do it again next year. Mark my words. It's why I have a side business that is changing the future of medicine and changing lives. And it's why I have a second baby. I was terrified to take that journey again because it almost killed me the first time. But being willing to consider that something could be different for me, okay? Being open-minded, being curious, which I was with all of my coaching, created all of these results for me. I'm highly coachable. And I've observed this to be the same for my clients and my colleagues in the coaching programs that I am in. The ones who get the best results are the ones who are the most coachable. So what do I mean by this? I came up with a short list of criteria that I think are essential to being coachable. And so I'm going to list them for you, and then I'm going to elaborate a bit more on why each of them is important. So the first one is always looking for a way to apply coaching in your life. The second one is being willing to question what you have always thought is just true. Okay, so say you have a belief about yourself. Here I go. I told you I wasn't going to elaborate on them. But say you have a belief about yourself that you are too quiet, right? It's being willing to question whether that's even true about you. Okay. The third one is being willing to let go of thoughts that cause you pain because you want to make room for healing and you want to make room for growth. The fourth is choosing to have faith that you can create anything in the world, any result that you want, and then going to work figuring out how in your coaching. And then the fifth is remembering that your coach is on the same side as you. Okay. So let's break this down. The first one was always looking for a way to apply your coaching to your life. So this happens really when you listen with curiosity and openness. Whenever you hear some coaching, say for instance here or on a podcast or in another coach's Facebook group, even if it isn't being given directly to you, I want you to start asking yourself, how could this apply to me? How could I make use of this? What's similar in my life that I could apply this to? This is super important, you guys, especially if you feel resistant to what you hear. Our brains, the way they work is they become more neuroplastic when we give them the task of believing things that initially seem to be quote unquote false to us or unbelievable to us. So, for example, if I told you right now that you are 100% enough, that there's nothing you can ever do to become more worthy, there's nothing you can ever do to take your worth, your enoughness away, you're just enough. You're good enough. At everything you do, you're enough. You might automatically disagree with me. Is your brain doing that right now? Coming up with some examples of how that isn't true, how you could be so much better at A, B, C, D, E. But if you were in your most coachable energy, okay, then you'd be willing to look for evidence of how this could be applicable in your life. You'd be open to sitting with the coaching that I'm giving you right now, to re-listen to it even if you need to, because you just might need to hear things a few times to let something sink in. You could also ask yourself some questions if you wanted to believe this more, that you are 100% enough. You could ask yourself, like, where am I thinking that I'm not enough? And what would be different if I believed that I was enough? Where do I already believe that I'm enough? What does it feel like when I believe that I am enough? What's that energy like? What am I thinking about? Can I start to expand that to some of these other areas of my life where my brain automatically offers me the news that I'm not good enough? Okay, so the second one is in a similar vein. It's sort of building on this first one. It's being willing to question what you have always believed to be true. So I always say don't dismiss an idea until you fully believe that it could be true for you. It doesn't have to be true, but that you believe it's possible, it could be true. So following along with the example that I was just giving you about being enough, maybe you've had a longstanding belief that you aren't good enough as a physician. Many of us have this, which is why I'm using this as an example, by the way. So you might think you haven't studied enough, you haven't worked hard enough, you haven't made it enough of a difference in your patients' lives, can't see enough patients, you can't see them fast enough, you can't get your work done. So these might even be some of the things that came up for you when I told you, as like rebuttals to when I told you that you're 100% enough. So here's how you can question what you believe to be true and work towards making what you don't believe to be, what you believe is not true, I should say, become true for you. So, what if none of the things that you're thinking about, like the stack of paperwork, the number of patients you see in a day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, had anything to do with your worth as a human being? For instance, do you ask your patients what they accomplished that day before you decide whether or not they are worthy of treatment? I think the resounding answer here should be no. Okay. Do you expect a baby to have accomplished some like goal or milestone before they're worthy of love? Of course not, right? Because we kind of do know that human beings are inherently worthy, right? We can care about a human life when we don't even know the person. We have no idea what they've done, what they've said, how they talk, how they act, what their weight is, right? We don't know any of those things about them. But we know that human beings are worthy, right? This is why we can be sad about people that are dying on the other side of the world when we hear about somebody dying and not know them personally. So, the idea with these first two suggestions that I'm giving you on how to be more coachable is that you're really just focusing on making use of all of the coaching you hear by tweaking it to make it applicable to your own life. And then the second part is you're just starting to question things you've always believed until you can see how maybe what you've always believed is not true. Maybe the opposite is true. And the biggest changes actually happen for us when we take something we don't agree with and we do the mental gymnastics of making it true for us, of figuring out how it could be true, of how we could agree with it. Okay. This is really training and challenging our brain to believe new things. This is the art of it. Okay. So, on to suggestion number 3, being willing to consider letting go of thoughts that cause you pain to make room for healing and growth. Now, I mentioned this again a couple weeks ago, but back in, I think it was June, I did a whole Friday live on this. And again, I'll link it in the notes, excuse me. But humans have a tendency to multiply our pain by resisting against our painful experiences and telling ourselves it shouldn't be this way, or by telling ourselves that we shouldn't be feeling like this, like it should be easier, or we should be stronger, or I should know better, or something like that. I bet you have all done this before. And the problem with this is it just simply creates more suffering. Human suffering is a combination of pain from whatever is going on in our life, right? It's unfortunate. So, say for instance, you get COVID. Okay. I'm only just saying this because one of my clients just recently shared with me that she has COVID, and I hope she is recovering and doing well. So the pain could be from being unwell. But then the resistance could come from saying, like, I don't know how I possibly could have gotten this. Like, we were vaccinated, we were so careful, we didn't go anywhere. We kept the kids at home. And how could we have done this? How could we have been so stupid, right? It just ups the ante on the suffering. So when we're coachable, we're willing to let go of that part where we up the ante on the suffering with our thoughts. Okay. And we just allow ourselves to have the shitty experience of, like having the COVID. Okay. And whatever painful emotion that comes with that, we're just going to experience that. We're going to process that clean pain. Okay. Without firing any extra arrows at ourselves. There's this concept of the second arrow, which is when we create even more pain for ourselves because we do this resistance against the pain. Right? We tell ourselves it shouldn't be like this. And what happens when we do that is we end up like storing this up as trauma somewhere in our body and in our psyche. And it really blocks us from being able to grow and reap the full benefit of coaching. So, to go back to our example of enoughness, okay. So, say maybe when you were a kid, your mom told you that you weren't good enough and it hurt. She wanted you to be better than everybody else. And so you learned that your worth is conditional. Then, as an adult, right, someone like me comes into the picture and tells you that all humans are worthy. You might really struggle with this because you remember what you learned as a kid and you remember how much it hurt to have that experience. And you find yourself like really angry at your mom because she taught you something that set you up for like multiple painful experiences as an adult. And so then when you start to think about this 100% worthy concept, you just feel like shit, right? It's like we use the coaching against ourselves rather than focusing on that clean pain, processing the pain of what happened. We add on more pain, we add on anger, we add on resentment. And, sometimes our relationships even get worse. But if you were your most coachable self, right, you can decide to clean up your thoughts around your mom. You can realize that, like, maybe she was just doing the best she knew how to do at the time, that she wanted you to have the best life. She wanted you to succeed, become a physician. So she had high expectations for you. Her words, maybe they were just a reflection of her own insecurity in the world, right? Because moms are not perfect either. I know that because I am one. So you then decide to allow the pain whenever you think of this younger version of yourself who had to endure that pain, but you don't perpetuate it for yourself any longer in the here and now. You give yourself compassion for the suffering that you had, and you remind your brain that this thought that I'm not good enough isn't really true. And in time, you will eventually come to believe that you are enough. But it's a process, right? And so when you're open to the idea of letting go of some of those thoughts, what happens is that you can do this faster. This process happens faster for you. Okay. Moving on to the fourth one. Choosing to have faith that you can create anything you want and then going to work and figuring out how. Okay. So this is an art, you all. And you have to do it a lot before it becomes easier to do. But trust me, it is worth it. I love this quote: both fear and faith require us to believe in something we cannot see, because so many of us are hardwired to live in fear, and fear feels real to us. And then, like, putting it all out there and having faith that, our thoughts can create our results and we can accomplish anything we want feels like fucking terrifying, right? And yet we choose like fear and anxiety in those stories all the time. So when I offer you this, I'm offering you another way to believe that your success is inevitable if you continue to stand by yourself. You continue to learn from every experience. You adopt the anti-fragile philosophy, right? You believe that it isn't just what you do that creates your results. Rather, it's your thoughts and it's the way you feel and what you do from that place, right? It's your thoughts that determine everything. Okay. The last one, and I want to go back to that for 1 second because um, I, even myself, knowing everything that I know and having been through all the experiences I've had in coaching, I still struggle with this. And this is an example of this. Okay. So I have a repeated pattern of believing that things I do have to be perfect. And whenever I'm in that belief, I feel so much pressure and I take on more and more and more. And to the point that I actually can't finish all the things that I take on. And it results in me being exhausted and burned out trying to finish it all. And I've done this so many times. And I literally think what I need to change is what I'm doing. Okay. But what I actually need to change is the simple thought that everything has to be perfect. Because if I was in the energy of remembering that my business has served over 100 women in the last year, I've done it at the same time as having a baby, at the same time as also being a physician. Like, if I was really in that energy, I'd be able to see how freaking badass it is that I'm here doing this, right? And But and I wouldn't feel burned out, right? I'd feel, like, excited. I feel like it was enough. But it's only when I think that it has to be perfect that I create the result of burnout. So it's ultimately my thoughts, right? I could still be doing some of the exact same things, but when I'm doing them from a different mindset, when I'm realizing that all the things I'm working towards are things that I really want, that I choose in my life, then it feels totally different to me. And I don't waste anywhere near as much time doing the mental gymnastics that I have to do when I'm like trying to navigate the waters of complete exhaustion and I'm irritable with my family. And, I'm just trying to talk myself off a ledge about all the zillion things that are on my to do list. That's what I mean by it's your thoughts and the way you feel that creates every result you get in your life. Okay, so the last one I have for you today, and then we're going to wrap up, is remembering that your coach is on the same side as you, on your side. So I just want you all to know that being a coach is not a glorified profession. Okay, this is my perspective as a coach. It's not like medicine where like people just think you're amazing and you're awesome because you're a coach. So, in fact, people are more likely to be skeptical. And I mean, I know some people are skeptical of doctors these days too, but way more people are skeptical of coaches, okay? And so coaches are not out there doing this because they want the recognition. I mean, there's shady people in every profession, but the vast majority of people who are coaches are here doing this because they're just completely on your side. they just really want you to get what you want out of your life, to achieve success, to not be burned out ever again for the rest of your life, right? That is what I want for everybody who crosses my path. I want everybody who comes to my work, who comes and works with me, I should say, to literally never experience burnout in medicine ever, 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 ever again, to have better relationships with all the people that matter to them in their life, because that is the ripple effect of doing this work. I want you to make more money. I want you to work fewer hours, making more money. And I want you to be able to love a career that you've invested so freaking much money, years of your life, right? Time with your family. You've invested so much into it. That's what I want to create for people who come and work with me. And so when I offer my clients something, it's because my judgment isn't clouded by my clients' thoughts. I can see something that my clients can't see. I'm a neutral observer of their thoughts and what their thoughts are creating for them. And it's the same reason why I continue to seek coaching from, even though I am a coach, because I know coaches can see things that I cannot see. So when a coach sees something and they give it to you as coaching, it's 100% in service to you. It's because we want to help. So it's safe to assume that we're on the same side as you, which is for the betterment of your life, for you accomplishing your goals. It doesn't mean you don't apply discernment still and you think through everything, but you can safely believe that your coach is there to help. And when you do, it makes you more open to doing all of the other things that I told you about today. Okay, that's all I have for you today. I'm still working on the brevity piece. This stuff is important on how to make it shorter. I'm sorry. I am gonna aim for like 20-ish to 25 minutes, and then we'll see if I can tighten it up as time goes on. But I just want to wish everybody a happy Friday. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Cheers, and we'll see you guys we'll see you guys on Monday for the challenge. Next week's gonna be an exciting week. So next week, remember, there's no Friday Live at 5. It's at 8 p.m. It's cocktail hour. Feel free to be fancy if you want to, but you certainly don't have to be. And I'm going to be announcing the winners of the challenge. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye.